The Biden administration's Justice Department has sentenced drone whistleblower Daniel Hale to 45 months, almost 4 years in prison, as Hedges correctly points out, for telling the American people the truth. And yet again, it's another example of the U.S. empire prosecuting, as much as possible the people who actually exposed the crimes of the U.S. empire, instead of actually trying to hold the people accountable who committed these war crimes. Again, these drone strikes sometimes have up to 90% civilian death rates. Even if they didn't, we shouldn't be in these countries. We shouldn't be killing people via fucking remote control. And again, reading some of what Daniel Hale said is very, very powerful and moving. Just how really disgusting it is that you're seeing this person on the screen. You push a button, drone strike happens, and they're fucking dead. Again, death by remote control. Like how just insane that is. You don't even have to be like on a battlefield. It's literally, you could be halfway across the world and you're assassinating, you're executing these people at the behest of the U.S. empire and imperialism. So this is some of what his leaked documents showed. Between January 2012 February 2013, U.S. Special Ops airstrikes killed more than 200 people. Of those, only 35 were intended targets. For one 5-month period of operation, according to documents, this is what I was referring to at the start, nearly 90% of the people killed in airstrikes were not the intended target. Civilian dead, usually innocent bystanders, were routinely classified as enemies killed in action. And I think it's basically like supposedly any male, I think, over 13 or 14 could be considered a enemy combatant as well. I mean, Jesus Christ. So they coerced him into pleading guilty. Espionage Act. So Hale wrote a letter to the judge why he leaked it, writing that the drone attacks in war Afghanistan, quote, had little to do with preventing terror from coming to the U.S. and a lot more to do with protecting the profits of weapons manufacturers and so-called defense contractors, 100%. Not making the U.S. any safer, not making the people there any safer. We now kill people without ever seeing them. Now you push a button thousands of miles away, since it's all done by remote control. There's no remorse. And then we come home in triumph. Wow. Let's see. He recalled the first time he witnessed a drone strike a few days after he arrived in Afghanistan. Early morning before dawn, a group of men had gathered together in the mountain ranges of Patika province around a campfire carrying weapons and brewing tea, he wrote. Quote, that they carried weapons with them would not have been considered out of the ordinary in the place I grew up, much less within the virtually lawless tribal territories outside of the control of the Afghan authorities. Except that among them was a suspected member of the Taliban, given away by the targeted cell phone device in his pocket. As for the remaining individuals to be armed of military age and sitting in the presence of alleged enemy combatant was enough evidence to place them under suspicion as well. Despite having peacefully assembled, posing no threat, the fate of the now tea-drinking men had all but been fulfilled. Could only look on as I sat by and watched the computer monitor when a sudden terrifying flurry of Hellfire missiles came crashing down, splattering purple-colored crystal guts on the side of the Morning Mountain. Death by remote control. I mean, just so messed up. Graphic violence carried out from the cold comfort of a computer chair. There would be many more. Wow. But how could it be considered honorable of me to continually have laid and wait for the next opportunity to kill unsuspecting persons who more often than not are posing no danger to me or any other person at the time. Never mind honorable. How could it be that any thinking person continued to believe that it was necessary for the protection of the U.S. to be in Afghanistan and killing people, not one of whom present was responsible for the September 11th attacks? Wow. So, I mean, obviously this, affected Daniel Hale on a very deep level. That's why he was willing to release these documents about just these atrocities that the U.S. is perpetrating and had perpetrated in the past. And now he faces almost 4 years in prison for, having ethics and morality and willing to face this personal cost because he knew it was so important to get this information out there. Routine surveillance mission turned into disaster. Let's see. Now, whenever I encounter an individual who thinks that drone warfare is justified and reliably keeps America safe, remember that time and ask myself, how could I possibly continue to believe that I'm a good person, deserving of my life and the right to pursue happiness, after learning about children killed by indiscriminate U.S. drone strikes he participated in? Jesus. Indeed, had been the suspect's wife in the car, and in the back were their 2 young daughters, ages 5 and 3 years old. A cadre of Afghan soldiers were sent to investigate where the car had been stopped the following day. It was there they found them placed in the dumpster nearby. The eldest was found dead due to unspecified wounds caused by shrapnel that pierced her body. Her younger sister was alive but severely dehydrated. As my commanding officer relayed this info to us, she seemed to express disgust, not for the fact that we had errantly fired on a man and his family, having killed one of his daughters, but for the suspected car bomb maker having ordered his wife to dump the bodies of their daughters into the trash, so that the 2 of them could more quickly escape across the border. Now, wow. I mean, Jesus Christ. So I'm not going to read any more of this, but I mean, very vivid details about just these, these drone strikes, these indiscriminate drone strikes that just kill and maim all types of people, more often than not the actual targets of it. Even if they were, we don't need to be in these countries. We don't need 700 military bases overseas. That's not making us any safer. That's not making the people in these countries any safer. Neither are these drone strikes. And again, kudos to Daniel Hale for listening to his conscience and morals and ethics, and exposing some of the crimes that are being done in the so-called pursuit of democracy, or whatever bullshit reason that the U.S. empire tries to justify this. But like the video if you like the video, subscribe for more content. Peace, much love.